a reminder, I'm going to be live on my YouTube channel called Sale. Got flies all over. It is like 100 degrees and I am dying, guys. All right. So before we get started, I have to tell you, I am not a professional. I am not a counselor. I'm not a therapist. I am not a doctor. I cannot diagnose anyone, nor can I prescribe any medication. I am not perfect, but I am a child of God. Now, tonight we're going to be talking about manipulation. But before I do, I have to ask, for that fight song that we listened to from Rachel Platt, how many of you feel that you still have a lot of fight left in you? Put a 1 in the chat. Good. So glad to hear it. So you know what that means. When Matthew comes up, he's going to tell you, "Go see you tomorrow." So keep fighting. You know, it's hard to fight. It's hard to remember that we are worthy enough to fight. So we're going to talk about manipulation. What is manipulation? Does anyone know what manipulation is? Without looking it up, put it in your own words of what manipulation is. Sorry, folks, I'm like dripping sweat here. If you don't know, just put no. Trying to get someone to do what you want them to do. And how would you do that? Can't wait for it to cool down. So, for those that are coming in, thank you very much. Trickery is a good word, yes, but manipulation is the word I was actually guilt. Oh, yeah, guilt trip. We're going to talk about manipulation tonight. So this is what the book says. So manipulation is the art of controlling people or circumstances by indirect, unfair, or deceptive means, especially to one's own advantage. Manipulations happen to those who allow others to have excessive control over them. It says here in the Bible, the control that God alone should have. So I'm using the June Hunt Manipulation book. I'm just going to skip through a lot of this. So have you ever been manipulated or done the manipulation? I've both. I've been manipulated and I've done manipulation, mainly on my kids. Those guilt trips, man. Yeah. I felt guilty afterwards because I didn't want that with my kids. My ex would manipulate me to do things. I was always called a bad mother, and I could never leave him because I didn't know how to cook and I didn't know how to clean. And he took care of all that because he had a certain way he wanted things done. And if I threatened to leave, or if I said something wrong or whatever the case was, he threatened to kill himself and it would be on me. And so I stayed. The next time I tried to leave, he threatened to kill himself again. And I'm like, go ahead. I don't care. He goes, it'll be on your shoulders. I went, no, it'll be on yours because you're the one that's killing yourself. So then he'd manipulate me by doing what I didn't want to do. By saying he'd kill the kids and himself and make it look like I did it. And I believed him. I have to say he never once threatened to kill me. I don't know why. He's came close, but he's never said those words, I'm going to kill you. Which I don't understand if that's I don't know. So it's all right. Long time ago. Has happened to me, and some individuals still try. Yes. And you got to be careful of that. Once you give your power over to someone, it is sometimes very hard to get it back. Very hard. All right. Hold on. Sorry. I want to mute that. All right. So now, so that's manipulation. What's persuasion? What is persuasion? A con. Trying to convince. Yeah. I'm telling you, even though I took a shower before this time, I have to take another one afterwards. Ooh, baby. Okay, so persuasion is the act of convincing others by urging, reasoning, and appealing to their minds. It's the process of winning over others by logical arguments and sound reasoning. It's just as bad as manipulation, isn't it? But it's not. Because persuasion is, and it does sound the same, yeah. So here's the difference. The difference is that manipulation are those who manipulate use dishonest emotions to achieve their goal. Those who persuade use honest reason to achieve their goal. So I'm going to use Matthew. He won't mind. Matthew and I both believe in the Bible. I have a hard time believing in the Trinity. So Matthew uses his knowledge of the Bible from when he was a youth pastor to persuade me to believe him. That's persuasion. That's not manipulation. He didn't say you have to believe or else you'll die. He said, this is the reason for the Trinity. This is what it is. This blah, 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 blah. I don't need to go into it. I'm not here to teach Bible. I just wanted to use it as an example of persuasion in the right form, being honest, and having the sound reasoning, the honest reasoning. And in his case, it was the Bible. So there is a difference. Even though it sounded alike, there is a difference. So does that make sense to you guys? Okay. Thank you, Matthew, for letting me use you. All right. So I'm going to skip spiritual manipulation because that's in the book. And this is a Christian guidebook. I'm not going to go over every little thing. So what kind of questions do you guys have about manipulation? What kind of concerns do you guys have about manipulation? And while you're writing that, I want to tell you that to manipulate is to unduly restrain, restrict, or rule in a relationship by use of deception. To manipulate is to suppress or oppress a person by subversive, overt, or covert tactics. How to stop it and identify it. Okay, all right. To manipulate is to have excessive cunning control. All right, so the next question is how does it mean to be manipulated? So let's read this and find out what it says. Again, it's going to be about Bible-based stuff, but I'm sure we can learn from it. I'm not here to preach the Bible to you. That's not what I'm doing. I'm just reading what she has in her book of how she explains it. All right, so the town of Gerar is beset with guile again. This time, Abraham's son Isaac and his beautiful wife Rebekah will do the duping, and poor King Abimelech will become a victim of manipulation. Isaac fears that the men of Gerar might kill him if he reveals that Rebekah is his wife. So he takes a page from his father's book, right? His dad's book. She is my sister. The same deceptive words are uttered by father and son on two separate occasions, simply to shield the truth, simply because of fear. The couple carries off the cover-up for a significant period of time until King Abimelech happens to cast a downward glance through a window and sees Isaac and Rebekah not having a sibling squabble, but caressing. The king summons Isaac and fires off accusations and questions. She is really your wife. Why did you say she is my sister? What is this you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us. So for him, he was fearful that something might happen if he said, this is my wife. They wouldn't have helped him, whatever the case was, so he lied. Now, is that manipulation or is that persuasion? Right, manipulation. So, like Abraham, Isaac expresses his fear for his life, and Abimelech gives orders throughout the land that anyone who harms Isaac and Rebekah will be killed. So, no. They're not persuading them to change their mind about something. They're manipulating them by them saying, hey, this is my sister, even though she's not. So, a little bit different. To be manipulated is to allow another person to dictate your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. To be manipulated is to allow decisions to be made for you. And to be manipulated is to allow others to have control over you rather than allowing God to control you or speak your mind or whatever your belief is. So how to identify it? So when you're being manipulated, right? It could be like your ex is cheating on you or your spouse is cheating on you. That's why he's my ex, right? So your spouse is cheating on you. You're suspicious about it, right? You're like, and then he's like, no, I had to work late. I had a meeting. I was with my family, whatever the case was. But then the truth comes out. And then he does stuff, or she, depending on what gender you are, he or she, the spouse, does stuff, and the truth comes out about it. You find out the truth comes out. But then it's your fault. Because if you had trusted him more, he wouldn't have thought about cheating, or she wouldn't have thought about cheating if you trusted them more. If you had done this, or if you've done that. So now they're manipulating you even further, making you take the blame for them cheating. I've had that. Oh, my stars, he was good at that. Very good at that. So it goes into a lot of Bible scripture on manipulation. For instance, Abram and Sarah manipulate Pharaoh into thinking they're not husband and wife. Barren Sarah manipulates circumstances to build a family for herself through her maidservant Hagar. So they do things that is profitable for them, that they get something out of it, and they manipulate the situation, and they have all that control. All right, so they use a lot of Bible scriptures. So here's some I can't even say it now. Manipulative power players. They use verbal and physical abuse to gain power. Guilty of that. My ex would do both verbal, physical, mental, you name it, he did it. They use put downs to get position over you. So here's things to identify it, right? Use verbal and physical abuse to gain power. For me in the beginning, it was verbal. Towards the end, it got to be both. Put downs. Oh, the biggest one for me. I wanted to leave when he goes, it doesn't matter if you leave me or not. No one's going to love you as fat as you are with 3 half-grown kids. You're lucky I love you the way that you are. No one's going to love you like I do. And you know what? He's right. No one did love me like he did. My husband now loves me much better. Just saying. They dominate conversations to get control, right? So if you're trying to talk or tell a story, they take over that story and finish it because now everyone's looking at them. Look at me. I'm important because I'm talking. Don't look at her. Don't look at him. Look over here at me because I'm the one that's telling the story now, right? So they take over the conversation to get control. They use threats to intimidate, right? So mine would, I'm going to kill the kids if you don't do what I want you to do. And 90% of the time it was if I wouldn't be intimate, we'll say, with him. I hated that part of their marriage. They say anything to humiliate you. You know, he would always tell the kids, you don't need to listen to her. She doesn't know what she's talking about. She's not smart. She's not important. Don't listen to her. And it affected my kids to the point that my son to this day hates me. My daughters have gone through their cycle and realized that, he's a liar, but it took some time. They'll also humiliate you in front of others. Oh, my stars. I think he really enjoyed that because it was really embarrassing the way that he would talk to me. I know, it's hot, isn't it, dog? Then you have the manipulative martyrs. They scold others to make them feel sad. They don't want to be sad alone. So if they're feeling horrible inside, they're going to say something to you to make you feel just as bad as them. That's manipulation. Is any of this helping so far? Okay. Oh, the blame game. They love to blame others. Remember, like I said with him, when he cheated on me, it was my fault that he cheated because had I not put that idea in his head, he wouldn't have done it. He was already doing it. Had I not brought my cousin over and him gotten to know her and they started sleeping together, it would never have happened. It's my fault that I brought my cousin around. I mean, just stupid stuff, right? They play the guilt game to make others feel at fault. Right, you made me do it. Exactly. You made me do it. It's all your fault. So the guilt game to make others feel at fault. I don't know why you're inviting them. They don't like me. They're trying to break us up. Whatever verbiage they use. It's the guilt game. And then shame others to make them feel sorry. Well, if you hadn't done this and I wouldn't have done that, and then now I'm, the bad guy, and they're all going to look at me horribly now because I'm the bad guy and you made me do it, just, oh my stars. Yes. I'm sorry. I'm so hot. Then they also play the victim to get people to feel sorry for them. My wife cheated on me and I don't know what to do. We've got kids together. I'm a diabetic. This is him. This is all my ex talking. I'm a diabetic and my wife threatened to put sugar water in there to kill me. Why would she do that to me? I'm the victim. I'm the victim. And so then it made me look bad, right? To all the people that would listen. So when people lie about you, they're going to have just enough truth in there to make it seem plausible. And yes, I did threaten to put sugar water in his insulin because I got tired of being the beatings. Just saying. I threatened it. I don't know if I would have done it, but I did threaten it. Then you have the manipulative rescuers. They provide unsolicited help to make others feel obligated. I'm going to pick on PJ. I'm a life coach and I really helped you through a bad situation. The least you could do is pay me my worth as a life coach. That I came to the rescue and then I said, I really need help. You need to pay me, right? No, That's not how it works, people. Just saying. Um, they assist others, even when it's not wanted, to gain a sense of indebtedness. So I'm going to help PJ. Even though she didn't ask me, I'm going to give her my advice and I'm going to charge her the bill for being a life coach. No, people, it's not how it's done. Right, PJ? Dang. They help others to make them feel ingratiated. They give this is a good one. They give exaggerated care to cause others to feel commitment to them. I rescued you from that abusive home when you were a child. You owe me. No, I don't. I owe him nothing. And then they extend aid in order to coerce others. Here, let me give that to you. Let me help you with that so that way you can, return the favor later when I need you. Right? Oh, thank you, darling. Right. You would be nothing without me. I've heard that I don't know how many times. You would be nothing without me. I know, I know. Then you have the people pleasers, manipulators. They use charm to gain favors of others. My ex was so good at this. Oh, my stars. Everyone would look at him and say, wow, he's a great dad. Look how he pays attention to her. Look, even though she's really fat, he went out and got her candy. And he knows, and she knows that he doesn't like fat women, but he's still with her. Oh, I've heard all sorts of things like that. Praise others to gain approval. He wouldn't praise me. He'd praise everyone else. It is very sad, but it happens. My sister, he wanted to sleep with her so bad. And what was she, 17, I want to say? And he would tell her how pretty she was. He would tell her how, he loved listening to her voice. And then he told me that if I didn't get her to sleep with him, that he would beat me up. So what I did is I caused a fight between my sister and I and made her move out. Should I have done that? No, I should have kicked him out. But I was young and dumb, and I was so manipulated into thinking that he was the one for me that I kept him and got rid of her. That was like the stupidest thing I could have done. The main goal is to manipulate by implying, after all I've done to please you, you should please me. Anyone have anything to say about what we've covered so far? It brings back so many memories of what my ex did. Oh, I had that happen too. I've had that happen. Not with my sister, but with someone else. I'm like, no, I don't do threesomes. Thank you. People are bad, yes. Now we're going to talk about the verbal methods of playing the game. I bet you didn't know. Good for you. Bet you didn't know there's actually verbal methods of the game, right? Let's find out. So now we're going to have the subversive schemer. Scheming to plot a deceptive plan. Yep, he's done that. Scheming to distort reality. That's not what happened. That sky's not blue. That sky is pink. Can't you see that? You need glasses. Me too. Scheming by telling half-truths. Ooh, yeah, half-truths are good. I got lots of those out there, but we won't go there. Scheming by misrepresentation. Talks about God on that one, so let's skip that. If you don't willingly do what I want, I will trick you into doing it. He never said those words to me. It was more like, if you don't do what I want you to do, I'm going to hurt the cat, the dog, the bird, the kids. Kids always won me. Animals always won me over. Kids always won me over. So if I didn't do what he wanted me to do, whatever it was, he would hurt an animal. And he didn't care. He had no conscience. No, they shouldn't, but they do. I mean, when you've been abused, in my case, when I've been abused all my life, that's all I knew. And so because it's all I knew, I didn't know anything else until after I got the relationship. Others that do know better, it's a slow process, very slow. You don't catch it at first. And then by the time you realize what's happening, you're so in deep that now you're wondering, am I worthy? Do I leave? Do I stay? Because they said this. And then they've got you right where they want you. So sometimes it has nothing to do with how strong you are. Right. So you understand how that is. Oh, I love these ones. You should show me respect. I'm your husband. It even says in the Bible the wife is supposed to obey the husband, or whatever he said, right? It's like, whatever. Oh, here's another one they always said. You should meet my needs. You should make me happy and give me security. Yes, I had to make him happy. That is power I did not know I had, because I was manipulated into making him happy. And if I didn't make him happy, our household was not happy. That's what I was looking for. Yes, being conditioned. I always called it brainwash because I felt like I was. Manipulation implies if you don't meet my expectations, you're guilty of neglect. Well, I also have it on my YouTube channel called Sales. So if there's something that you want to watch, later, you're more than welcome to go to the YouTube channel, and you're welcome. And it's in my bio, by the way. The YouTube channel's in my bio. I love you too, darling. Yeah. Strident screaming, yelling to apply pressure, yelling to unnerve. God, he did that all the time. Yelling to publicly humiliate, and yelling to intimidate. He's done all those to me. I like this. It's a Psalm 64:3-4 says, they sharpen their tongues like swords and aim their words like deadly arrows. How true is that? The manipulator implies, if you don't do what I want, I'll make you wish you had. Boy, did he. Now we're going to talk about sarcastic swords. Stabbing with cutting humor. You're so fat, you're like an elephant. Oh, my stars. People would laugh. Stabbing with jabbing words. Stabbing with put downs. And stabbing with malicious mocking. The manipulator implies, if you aren't what I want you to be, I will use words to wound you. There's that saying there that says, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. That's a lie. Words last longer than any abuse that I've had by him, or any of them for that matter. It was the words that I still have in my head, those nasty ants that say that I'm not good enough, that I'm not smart enough, that I'm not pretty enough, that I'm not whatever enough, right? Words do cut much deeper than the physical abuse that he ever put me through. Now we have the sexual seduction, seductive talk, suggestive clothing, sensual advertising, or sensual, and then sexual body movements. He didn't do any of those things. Those are just stuff that he didn't do, but I guess some can do stuff like that. So if you've ever had a seductive talker, sweet talk you, the sweet nothings. and then use you and leave you, you know that you've been manipulated. And they imply that if you don't buy what I'm selling, you're not going to be macho. That's mainly for the women. I've said it to my kids several million times. I brought you into this world and I'll take you out. But I didn't do it to be abusive to the kids. I did it because they wouldn't stop. Thank you, Lori. Okay, so now we're going to talk about showering sentiments. It says excessive praise to appeal to the ego. This is what he would do, the excessive gifts to create a sense of obligation. I gave you a box of chocolates. Now you're obligated to XYZ, right? Excessive affection to gain a sexual or emotional advantage, and excessive money to buy control. He had money, and I needed diapers for the baby. Back in that day, where we lived in a small town, so everyone knew everyone type deal, right? I could go to the grocery store and say, hey, I need to charge these diapers until we get paid again, because he never told me he had money. And so I would charge the diapers. I got tired of doing that after I found out he had money. And yeah, let me finish my story. And so I stole from him. My ex would get drunk and high every stinking night. And he'd be out when I have to get up in the morning to take care of the kids. So this one morning I got up and went through his pants, found out that he had hundreds of dollars, and I took 50. I thought it was a 20. To be honest, I really thought it was a 20. All I needed was 20. I ended up taking the 50. So what I did is I took my kids out for breakfast after I bought the diapers. And then I lied about it because I wanted my kids to have diapers. I wanted my kids to have something special. Right? All right. So because you were told you were narcissistic when they gave me no choice but do what they wanted, now I wonder in my head. We all wonder. Words hurt more than what anyone has ever told us. Like I was saying, sticks and stones might break my bones, but names will never hurt me. Bull hockey. Those words hurt more than anything. And some people just brush it off and it's no big deal. Others, like me, we hold it dear to our hearts because it's what we've been told over and over and over and over, that we're not good enough. We're not smart enough or pretty enough or kind enough or whatever, right? We're not enough. And that's why I became a life coach, so I could help people realize that the ants in their heads, 9 times out of 10 are not their voices. Just saying. I strongly recommend affirmations. I strongly recommend journaling. That will never stop. Journal. Get the crap out of your head. On one side of the sheet, put all the ants' lies, and on the other side, put the truth, and then cross them out like you're stomping them. Yes, it's like a broken record, just keeps going and going and going. All right. The manipulator in that one implies, if you don't respond to my generosity by doing what I want you to do, you are ungrateful. I don't know how many times I've heard that. Oh, here we go. These are sly suggestions. Guilt game number 1. A wife says, John just bought Sarah a new car. It must be nice to be so loved. It really is. I have books on Amazon. If you go to my profile, I don't know if I put it in there now. So I have a book called The Right Step, WRITE. It talks about journaling. It talks about the ANTS, which is the automated negative thought syndrome. And it goes through all the stuff, why journaling is very important to get the ants out of your head, how to tell your story, how to burn it, stuff like that. If you want to talk more on that, message me. We can talk on here. We can talk privately somewhere else, like on Zoom or whatever. I don't mind helping people. Answer very bad. Yes. Okay, so the next guilt game, a husband says, Mary encourages her husband to go out with the guys anytime he wants for as long as he wants. He's lucky to have such a wife. Well, maybe they can trust each other. Just saying. Number 3, a friend says to another friend, Chris has a friend who will give him any amount of money, no questions asked. Now that is a true friend. Bull hockey. You don't just give money. That's like saying that they're only good for their money. You know? And here's a teenager guilt one. A teenager says to parents, none of my friends have a curfew. It must be nice to have such trusting parents. Welcome in. So Proverbs 26:24 describes a manipulator. A malicious man disguises himself with his lips, but in his heart he harbors deceit. And the manipulator implies you ought to meet my every need. And if you don't, I'll make you feel guilty. Which is true. They do. They make you feel guilty just for not believing or wanting to do what they want you to do all the time, right? Now we have sympathy seekers. Oh, my ex was good at that one too. Speaking and acting needy intentionally. Speaking and acting pitiful with pity parties. Oh, poor me. I had such a rough day at work and I had to do everything and nobody did anything. And you need to feel sorry for me. Speaking and acting helpless and childlike. Speaking and acting hopeless unless a rescuer arrives. Instead of expecting others to carry your load when you could carry it yourself. The manipulator implies you should take care of my heart, and if you don't, you are callous and cruel. Any comments on this so far? Okay. So now we're going to talk about the 8 S's of nonverbal manipulation. Did anyone know that there's a nonverbal manipulation game? All right, so you guys did know. Yeah, I don't like those either. All right, so now you have the situation Caesar. Uses the poor judgment of others to receive personal promotion. Uses the poor health of others to receive personal profit. Uses the problems of others to receive personal praise. Uses the pain of others to receive personal progress. Yes, they do. That was the situation Caesar. Now you have the silent treatment. I hate the silent treatment. When Troy does that to me, I just want to wring his neck. No, you need to talk to me. Pouting, brooding, and ignoring. Coldly turning away from your spouse. Not answering the phone, emails, or texts as punishment. And refusing to speak to an offender. Okay, I have to say I did that once myself, though. Yes, withholding love. Exactly. I got mad at Troy once. We were married maybe a week or two. And he had the audacity to discipline my kids, my 3 children. So I didn't talk to him for 2 weeks. I told the kids, mind you, we only had a 700 square foot house, right? I'd look at my daughters and son and say, you want to get your dad and tell him dinner's ready? He can hear me. He's like right there, right? The house is a very small 2-bedroom house. And they looked at their dad. They looked at me. And I'd look down. So I've done it. I'm guilty of that. But that's what I grew up with. That's what I learned. And after I got over it, he's like, "Are you ready to talk now?" And I was finally able to talk. And he told me that what I was doing. And I was like, "No," I was mad. He goes, "No, this is, and so we worked through it, and I haven't done it since. But I'm guilty of it because that's all I knew. That's what I learned in this, this first marriage that I had. Oh, I love this one. The slam, bam, slamming of like drawers and doors and phones and books. Not wanting to talk is different than ignoring them for a week or two. So if you're mad and you just want to calm down and you want to walk away for an hour or two, that's so different. I did it for almost 2 weeks of not talking to them. So you need to be careful of how you verbalize it. So this manipulator implies, if you don't meet my expectations, you don't deserve any dialogue with me, but I'll make my point in other ways. Slam, right? Oh, here's a good one. The scornful sneer, the curl of the lip, the roll of the eyes, the raising of the eyebrows, and the squinting of the eyes. That is the scornful sneer. And that manipulator implies, if you don't do what I want you to do, you don't deserve my respect. Then you have the spiteful sounds, audible sighs, deep grunts, long groans, smacked lips. And that manipulator implies, if you don't meet my expectations, I will let you know how perturbed I am with you. Then you have the suppressed support, withholding compliments, withholding gifts, withholding affection, withdrawing from your presence. Basically, I don't want to be in the same room as you. And that manipulator implies, if you don't meet my standards, you will not get any attention from me whatsoever. All right, the 7th S is strategic stalling. They're intentionally slow, they're late, all intentionally, not hearing, forgetful. Okay, I'm forgetful, not on purpose, guys. I just forget stuff. So if you tell me something you want me to remember, you better tell me to write it down. That manipulator implies, if you don't give me control, I'll take control in other ways. And then the last S is a sniveling sobber. Mine wasn't that way. My ex was not. The sniveling sobber is timed tears, subtle sniffles, tearful stories, and extended crying. And if you don't meet my emotional needs, I'll get your attention and make you feel guilty by falling apart. So those are the 8 S's for the nonverbal manipulation. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Causes of being manipulated. So what sets the stage for manipulation? Does anyone know what sets the stage for manipulation? Yes and no. Loss of control for control freaks and trying to please others because don't know own boundaries. We talked about boundaries before, rambling. So if that's something you're interested in, I believe it should be on my YouTube. I'll have to go back and look again. Right. Guilt trip you. Um, so basically, it's your background. So I'm going to start with in my childhood, that's all I knew, right? So in childhood, you had an over controlling parent, domineering, critical, angry, punitive, or manipulative. That's what I had. That's what I grew up with. I experienced some type of abuse, verbal, emotional, physical, sexual, spiritual, all the above for me. Grew up in an abusive home environment. Again, that was me. Had no voice at home to share honest facts and feelings. You never dealt with your true feelings. Again, me. Learned about manipulation by watching your parents with children. More is caught than taught. Yeah, that's again. I'm telling you, I think that June Hunt was writing about me, right? Um, Grew up in a blaming home that used guilt to control others. I don't know how many times my egg donor, would always blame me for something, or my other sister, or until they moved out, then it was me. Accepted blame for everything in childhood, a mindset that easily sets you up to be manipulated in adulthood. Again, me. I'm telling you, I think June Hunt should have said Llewellyn somewhere on there. Blamed everyone else for all your wrongs, setting yourself up to become a manipulator. Thought you were normal, thought your normal was normal, but it was not. Again, should have Llewellyn on here. Wanted to please others, but your pleasing was never pleasing enough. Oh man, that so fits me. You misunderstood the question. So it's getting late. I'm going to stop right there. I'm probably about halfway through the book. So I'm going to pick up on this next week. I thought I had something else, but that's okay. I don't mind doing this next week. So this right here, about manipulation, we've all done it or had it done to us at one time or another in our lives. I was guilty of it, of doing it, and I was guilty of receiving it. And I say it that way because once I learned what it was, sometimes I'd still do it to my kids, even as adults. And it's like, I don't want to be that kind of a mother. I don't. Right. And so, as some of you know, I'm in counseling. And this last Monday, I was talking to my counselor, and I would like to try something with you guys if you wouldn't mind. May I have permission to teach you a coping mechanism that she taught me on Monday? And if you say yes, would you mind doing it with me right now? Okay, so I'm going to go over time, but I want you guys to be sitting comfortably in a chair, on the floor, wherever you're comfortable. Just sit. What I'm going to have you do is I'm going to have you close your eyes, and I want you to focus on my voice. Would you guys do that? Okay, I'm going to do it with you. Okay, so we're going to close our eyes. And I want you to picture a hurt in yourself that is no more than about a 5 or 6 pain level. When you find that hurt, I want you to focus on your breathing. Focus on where it is in your body. Focus on where the hurt came from. Focus on the color of that pain. Then I want you to give it a shape. Is it square? Is it round? Oval? Give it a shape. Focus on the breathing. Breathing in and out. As we look at that pain inside of us, the color that's wrapped around that. I want you to slowly reach in grab that pain and bring it outside your body. As you're holding it, you can choose to put it in a box and lock it away. You can throw it up in the universe. You can put it in the volcano and let it explode. You can set it on fire in a fireplace, campfire, whatever it is that you want to do to get rid of it. But first, take a look at it. Feel that pain. And as you feel that pain, I want you to take and discard it in any way you want. And as you're discarding it, I want you to feel that pain going away as you get rid of that pain. Once you got rid of that pain, I want you to focus on something of a positive memory or something positive. For me, it was a childhood Bible story of Jesus opening up his arms and inviting a child in to hug it. That is what mine is. What does your peace look like? What does your love look like that you are replacing that pain with? Focus on that as you keep breathing. Slow breaths. Once you have that, I want you to take 3 deep breaths in and let it out. Again, deep breath in and let it out. One more time, deep breath in and let it out. And when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes. And when you're ready, just answer yes or no. Did that work for you? Did that help you in any way? Is that something that you may want to try on your own? See, when I had first done it with her on Monday, she would talk normal, like what I'm talking right now. And so I really couldn't focus on anything because her voice was kind of loud. And I really felt like she was reading a script. I really did. I may not have done it exactly the way that she had done it with me, but that basically was the gist of it. She told me to throw it in the ocean or to put it in a box. For me, if I'm taking pain out, I really don't want someone else to find that pain. 1, I'm afraid it might hurt them, and 2, I'm afraid it might come back to me, right? So for me, in my image, I really thought of burning it up and letting it just dissipate in the air type deal, so that way nobody could ever have it. It's like ashes after burning paper. So with a 1, tell me if that made you feel better with a 1. With a 2, tell me if that's something that you might do again. With a 3, tell me if you're coming back next week for the second part of the manipulation book. 2 and 3. All right, so bear with me just 1 minute here. On my YouTube channel, I want to thank you very much for being here. If this is something that you're interested in learning more about, please make sure you follow me every Friday night. I will be doing these lives, and we'll talk about it more then. So I want to thank you for being here. Remember, God loves you, and so do I, and I hope to see you next week. End.